remember not really being able to have the compassion for somebody in their situation that I used to have, that I felt desensitized to their pain and their suffering. And after that, I realized I was tired and I was experiencing compassion fatigue. My name is Rynders. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for over 15 years, and I'm a dancer, and I am the artistic director of the clinic, which includes resiliency workshops for nurses and an immersive theater performance that takes place in the hospital setting to raise awareness of compassion fatigue and nursing burnout. The clinic is a 6-week workshop series for nurses to combat compassion fatigue and burnout through resiliency training with the arts, music, dance, and performance. It's based in play, so it brings us out of our heads and into our bodies. And just like children, we get curious again and we start thinking about things differently. We start questioning things. We use theater and acting and role-playing as a way to address certain really deep and tough questions and issues at hand, but do it through a playful lens.
I was surprised at what came out of that and what actually was causing grief that I was holding on to. And it was so great in all the different ways that we visited with the movement and sharing our stories with other nurses who I think when they heard them can really relate and connect.
I think just stress lives more in your body than you ever realize. And I think something that happened 50 years ago can be completely in your body, and you know about it. You hear about veterans from war, but you don't really know how it affects a person until you let it out.
Some of the worst days feel like they are connected intrinsically to who you are in this profession. That my value as a nurse is how I can take care of people. So on my worst days, does that mean I'm not doing a good job at taking care of people? And it's being able to kind of disconnect those two ideas.
So what motivated me for this workshop series is I had an experience as a patient where I almost died, and I realized how important nurses are, that they are everything to a patient. And I began researching patient outcomes, patient experiences. I wanted every patient to feel seen and heard and cared for every time. So I realized that compassion fatigue and nursing burnout was stealing the joy that we nurses can receive from caring for another human being, and that there's a huge need for our nurses to be supported and cared for and seen as nurses. The hospital benefits from every employee caring for themselves, because when a nurse is caring for him or herself, they're caring for their patients, and they are experiencing satisfaction as a nurse. They're empowered to care for others in a healthy way, which decreases turnover, increases patient satisfaction, nursing satisfaction. Ultimately, everyone wins.
This is a program for nurses by nurses, and I think that's one of the most important aspects of it is you're being understood, heard, and seen by someone else who has been through what you've been through, and maybe different stories, but the underlying theme is the same.
Working with performers has been a totally new experience for me, very outside of the box, and it's been a fun, new approach to looking at a serious issue.
Identifying that story and finding the ways to move to help you identify how that story really impacted you, emotionally and physically. Didn't even think that story affected me until she said that prompt, and I was like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, after that I was pretty pissed. And then I was like, wait a minute, I was more than that,
Being able to move my body helped me move through certain pieces of my story that weren't necessarily as comfortable. And seeing other people struggle with the same things I struggled with, it built a little bit of a camaraderie around, everybody who was in the group, that nobody's going through it alone.
A really important component of this workshop series is the IRB-approved nurse-led research study that we're doing, and we will continue to do with every workshop series, so that we're gathering data to create evidence-based practices that can be used for nurses, but also brought to the bedside and used for the care of our patients.